Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Young Justice, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Sarah Potter, and today I'm joined by Dylan Hysen.
Hello.
And Allie Martin.
Hey.
We're going to be talking about the next two episodes of Young Justice, Quiet Conversation and Unknown Factors. But before that, you can find more about this podcast at overlyanimated.com. You can subscribe to us on iTunes at overlyanimated.com/iTunes or on YouTube at youtube.com/overlyanimated. So we missed a week. We just wanted to do two at once here, and we have two big episodes to dissect here, so let's just get right into it. Dylan, what did you think of these episodes?
I really like these episodes. This is like an especially good pairing. Like we looked at, it's like you have like a really good low-key character episode, and then you have a big plot episode, and both episodes continue the trend of the last few weeks of the season actually tying its million plot lines together.
Yeah.
And the show is just like so different now than the first half of the season. Like we are at a much better place season structure wise than we were. I think this is a much more palatable type of show now for a lot of people. I think these are both pretty high quality episodes. I'm surprised that Quiet Conversations exists within Young Justice Outsiders. It is much, like I said, much more of a low key, like in the episode title, like much quieter episode than the show normally does. It's interesting that the many plot lines that are quiet in Quiet Conversations are not very important to the overall plot. The show still cannot help itself but add in very minor plot lines left and right. I personally do not mind it, but I like if you're talking like all the show structure, the people that like had a big problem with the first half of the season, if it's like, oh, all the problems have been solved. No, not really. We're still doing stuff like having McGann and Harper like have a big conversation. Like there's no reason for that. And then like adding in Calder and his boyfriend is like fantastic for the progressive part of the show, but is like seemingly completely unnecessary from overall like plot perspective. Which is, I don't want to single that out. There's many things that are unnecessary from an overall plot perspective in these episodes. But I kind of like the like random small things. Like in the second episode, the Bumblebee baby thing. It's like, why is this here? I don't know, but it was kind of fun. Whatever. And then Unknown Factors I thought was actually really, really good. The Granny, I really love Granny and the Granny plot stuff. Like, Granny's the best. Am I allowed to stand Granny or is she too evil?
I do.
I mean, you stand Jace, so I mean, like, that's just kind of in line with what you do.
Well, Dr. Jace is good, as we all know.
No,
so that's not, we'll talk about my very correct predictions from previous podcasts.
I am very, very tempted to just, like, cut in, like, every time you said you love Jace, like, from previous podcasts right now when I edit this.
I'm still allowed to play Jace, but...
If Dylan is never on a podcast again, you all know why.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, I'm just saying nothing but wrong things about Jace, so it's all gone now. I was also, the Quiet Conversations was really happy, too.
Yeah.
The show is so dark and miserable, like, tone-wise. And Quiet Conversations was like, oh, everything is, like, much better now. That was weird. I like it, though. And then, in Unknown Factors, there's also just a lot of, like, we also, like, a post-credits scene in that episode. Hopefully we didn't miss that. And, there's just a lot of random reveals at the end of these episodes. And, I really like where we're going now with the season. I think, like, in terms of like an objective media criticism lens, the second half of the season, we're at a much better place now. Gotta be honest, I kind of missed the first half of the show because I really feel like there hasn't been quite as standout of episodes. I'm not sure we've had any episodes I'm dying to rewatch in the type of like Evolution or that episode 3, like Eminent Threat. I don't know. Like, I feel like the show being neater also means it like maybe stands out less in some ways, which is, but I also think we could accomplish a really great episode within this type of structure as well. I also think Unknown Factors itself is a very good episode. So I'm very happy with the show right now and these two episodes.
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. Like, as the show gets better, it gets closer to like the episodes kind of the Netflix kind of thing where like the episodes kind of lead into each other in such a way that for me at least, some of the episodes get a little more harder to distinct when I look harder to differentiate when I look back. Like,
yeah, it's like neater and it's tidier, but also it's like we're not doing a whole episode of like evolution with like the history of Vandal Savage. Like I don't know, I love that shit. Like I'd like the show to still remember its capacity to just completely go in a different direction occasionally.
Yeah, and I think we can talk about that when we get into these episodes. But before that, Allie, what are your thoughts on these episodes? Because Dylan had some great. He's really high on this.
He
How are
really
you feeling?
covers it every time. But I also, for brevity, I also really enjoyed these 2 episodes, and I agree that it feels like it's coming more together. We're getting more into, not that we weren't into the plot before, but, there are all kinds of more twists being revealed, like with Granny. Well, Granny's stuff isn't really twisty, but, we're getting more into her story. We're getting kind of more into Tara and Dr. What's her name that I don't like. Yeah, sure, whatever. I hate her. She's a shady hoe.
Excuse me.
She's great, but she's shady. I really liked Quiet Conversations because it felt like everything was better, but then I felt like, it's like, this is a setup for shit hitting the fan, and that's what Unknown Factors felt like. I'd say the latter is probably my favorite episode so far, even though it felt, like Dylan said, kind of, not like that a lot doesn't happen, but it's nothing really like stands out except for what's going on with the plot, which I think is necessary at this point because it feels like we're coming down to the wire.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 2 episodes left.
Oh fuck, I forgot about that. Okay,
there's 5 episodes left.
Oh, is there? Oh, then I misread Wikipedia. I apologize for being wrong.
You're forgetting our 3-part finale week.
Oh god,
I mixed up the week. I'm sorry.
Wait, is that really going to be a thing?
Yeah,
it is.
Oh no. Okay, well, this explains a lot. It does sort of feel like they're rushing through things, but that makes sense if we're getting a 3-part finale.
Yeah, it definitely feels a little rushed now that we're like getting to the wire, and like you said, we have to wrap this up, but it also feels like we can't wrap this up, and like I'm kind of thinking like they were never gonna wrap this season up now. Like we're gonna get a ending that isn't an ending to the plot we've been hearing now because we're going straight into season 4. We already know what's happening. But let's just dive into this first episode because I really like these 2. Quiet Conversation I really loved. I really love whenever we delve into like character stuff because I realized like 5 minutes into the episode, all 3 plot lines are about characters I care about. Like, I want to watch these. I want to see what everyone's doing.
I think there's 4 plot lines.
Is there 4? Well,
at minimum.
Oh, no, you're right. There are 4. You are correct.
It's like they're really short.
This episode has a D plot. Why is no show needs a D plot?
Well, with all these characters, it's fucking necessary.
I think Young Justice has done D plots before. It's like,
we're gonna get to a C plot eventually.
Also, it's 4 plots without even including Tara, which they throw in.
Well, she's kind of there. She's with.
But I mean, no, that's like an F plot. That's what Dylan's saying. There's kind of because the episode ends on her texting and being like, "I'm happy now," and it's just like that's a completely separate plot line to the actual.
It's the Z plot line.
No, the C, whatever. The point is
Z, not C.
The Z plot line, yeah.
Yes.
Whatever. So there's 4. I'm just gonna go over the plot lines that we have here, and then we're gonna pick out the big moments. Because this episode is just like a bunch of character stuff, all kind of strung together in a way that actually makes more sense than it does when I list it out like this. Because we have this episode, we finally dig into Cyborg / Vic Stone, and I think that's awesome. We talked a lot about how we want more from him. We dig into more of the new gods with Superboy, Black Lightning, and Forager going after this guy named, and I had to repeat this name, to get his Mobius chair of Metron, which everyone just kind of keeps saying.
He's Metron, yeah.
He's Metron. It's fine.
Well, but even Vic was like the what of who?
Am I supposed to know who Metron was?
No, Dylan, no.
Okay.
The name sounds familiar, but it sounds like X-Men.
Like if
also all that's included in the A plot, you could count that as kind of a separate plot too. Would make it
no, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that's a separate plot. In my head, that is a separate plot because we still stay with Vic with his dad at multiple times while they're on other stuff.
That's true. They do kind of separate. By the way, enjoyed it. Both these episodes are very Vic heavy, and I really appreciate it. I think he's one of the strongest characters on the show.
In this show,
and he gets.
Go ahead.
Or time with Garfield, sorry.
Yeah, like in the next episode we have like that definitely feels like a direct callback to Teen Titans because we have this big like comedic scene between the 2 of them and they both say like the same, a shared catchphrase, which is very reminiscent of Teen Titans. But then let's just finish summarizing. So we also have Violet running away, and we see that from the perspective of Tara and Artemis, and then we also have Harper talking to Megan, which is all these things happen in this episode.
No, also Calder.
Sorry, I forgot one of the plot lines. I forgot to list one of the plot lines. And Calder with, later named Dolphin with, his very real boyfriend.
And
which we have
also
to talk about.
McGann and Harper.
Yes. There's all these things.
Yeah,
happening.
Harper runs away and then, or no, Violet like runs away. There's that part, and then she like goes to Gabriel's parents too. So like,
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
There's so
Too much
stuff.
shit happens.
Like, I have all these things about outlined. I just keep forgetting these are like separate places with separate like technical like.
Yeah, it's kind of like ridiculous when
They
we say
all
like
look
this.
like-
I
That's
do
why
think the
I'm saying-
episode
that's why
makes
I'm
it flow
saying.
pretty well though, which is impressive.
Yeah.
It does, but
It's
it
crazy.
feels kind of rushed because it's like each scene has 2 minutes at one point, and then they just keep going back and forth
Like,
and back and forth
yeah.
and back and forth.
It feels rushed when you list it out like this, but I think all the scenes they connect very well. Like
Yeah.
we're moving from quiet scene to quiet scene in such a way that we're always excited to see the next thing. Cause we leave Superboy as soon as he spots Superman and we're like, oh, there's Superman. And we move over to Vic, who I also care about. Like it's just very good at making me excited for every single plot, which is very rare for this show. Like
Yeah, they
usually when
finally-
there's like this much going on, I'm like, there's usually one or two that I'm much more excited to stick with. But this one, I was really interested in all the characters, which is a testament, I think, to this team we finally have.
I
was-
didn't care about McGann and Harper.
I was
I'll say that.
surprisingly like pleased with those two because I thought they would really just have Harper as like a not so much like a foil to Brienne, but just to like have her be like, oh, this is an excuse for Violet to go off the rails. But I'm glad they're making her an actual character, kind of.
As much as I like the Calder stuff, like I think in terms of the whole season, the McGann stuff and the Calder stuff felt irrelevant in this episode. I mean,
Yeah.
the Calder stuff turns out to be very relevant, but it's like,
Yeah.
why do we care about Calder? The season has not cared about Calder at all. And then,
Excuse you. Everyone always cares about him. He's the best character.
You know,
The
in
show
our
did.
hearts,
That's what
we care.
Dylan
The show is not. And then it's like Fish Girl. As much as I was like, oh my god, it's happening. But
Yeah, me too.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
something better happened.
Yeah, they definitely teased us with like she's staying behind because she has a thing for him, and that it
The show really trolled me because last
same.
podcast I said I wanted hot shape of water fish sex.
and you
with-
thought it was happening. No,
with
it really
Calder.
looked. I
By
was
the way,
so bad.
Calder didn't appear yet, and I said he would come, right? Like,
Yeah, no, you did.
So, as wrong as I was about Jace, I really nailed this one. And between New Fish Girl and Calder, and then I'm like, oh my god, he's here, and we're doing it, and they're gonna have hot shape water fish sex, and it's like, no, Calder's gay for this other fish person. I'm like, oh, that's a different
Gayer
shape
shape
of
of
water
water
fish
fish
sex than I was expecting. But okay,
It's
I'm good with
gay.
that.
You're
What's
good with
better?
gay. You're good with gay shape of water.
Hell yeah.
That's good too.
Yeah.
Are you serious? That's better.
It's not real shape of water because they're both fish people. I guess none of these are really shape of water. It needs to be with fish person and human is the true.
Well, I mean,
to get-
Dolphin's kind of human. Like,
yeah, to recently turned.
She's like the woman at the end of Shape of Water. Like,
Wow, don't just spoil the movie.
that movie has like no spoilers. Like, just
That
watch
was the only thing you could have spoiled in the movie.
You want me to cut this?
Don't
Well,
worry
the fact
about
that they have
it.
sex is kind of a spoiler.
Yeah, you're saying they have sex.
Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on from Shape of Water.
I
sex.
almost couldn't get over. This episode is like so composed and dignified. I couldn't get over the fish stuff. I'm like, what?
Of course. Can we move to maybe something that was really interesting what you said, Dylan? Because you said you didn't connect to the Harper and McGann stuff. You said
Oh,
it
yeah.
was. Yeah, I'm interested next. I recognized that it was kind of not tacked on, but it felt separated from the rest of the plot, and it definitely was. It was most separate. But I still liked it being there. I want to know why
Yeah.
it just didn't work for you.
So first of all, what did work was that we actually resolved it by Harper eventually saying she gets that she's beaten up by her dad.
Yeah.
Like that. Usually these things are like, oh, we have to go through like a whole movie of not telling before. But this show can only spend 2 minutes on anything, so it was going to get resolved. And no, I just don't care about Harper Lee. Why am I supposed to care about? I mean, like I like her, but like she's nothing in this show. Like and McGann is kind of a main-ish character, like not really though in this show anymore. Like she was obviously in the previous seasons, but then there's this relationship and McGann being a guidance counselor I don't care about. None of this seems connected at all to anything.
Yeah, and I can
Yeah.
see that. It definitely feels at times like this show, like Harper Lee feels like she was supposed to be
Is that
bigger
a real
part.
name, or am I just saying the To Kill a Mockingbird author? Is that it?
Oh my god, did you make me say the wrong name? Now I feel
Wait, I thought that was her name.
It might be her name. I'm
I
not
think
sure.
it is. Hold on.
Okay, well,
I know,
okay.
I'm reading. No, it's Harper Row. Dylan,
Okay.
it's Harper Row. You said it. You said Harper Lee.
Just cut that out.
No, I'm
Fine.
keeping that because Dylan was wrong. Dylan's wrong. It's Harper Row.
Okay.
Anyways,
Dylan's wrong.
Harper Row
Always.
it feels like she was supposed to have a bigger role in the show at some point, because when we had the first, like, promos for season 3, she was in, like, all the promos for it. Like all the art, the concept art they had. And this feels like maybe they had this plot line and they wanted to keep it even though she still wasn't a big part of it. And I appreciated what it was, as in, like, we had this story about abuse and we got into it, and it was, we didn't dance around what was happening. I appreciated that we had this story, and, like, both people in the room were like, we know what we're both talking about, but we're acknowledging what we're really talking about is, like, admitting to it so that the cops can get involved. And that was a much more interesting way to do the abuse story than we usually get, I think. It was.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think it was well written. I think it's at least feels freshish take on this type of thing. We must be doing something with Harper in the last 5 episodes, right? Like, there's no way we have this conversation with McGann and then do nothing else with her. Like, they've got it. It would be, I think, pretty egregious if she doesn't have some sort of importance in the last 5 episodes.
Yeah,
Brother
I
gets
agree.
Kidnapped for meta-teen reasons.
Yeah, but like, that feels like a plot line that they could have done in the first half of the season, and then we can follow that the whole way if the brother was relevant, you know. But it's like Harper must get, like, superpowers or something.
Yeah, I really hope she does, because it feels like she's supposed to be part of this.
She gets gun shooting powers. I don't know.
Like, she could just shoot good.
Yes. Or just, like, out of her hands with no gun. I have no idea. She just can't get time travel powers, because then they're gonna get sued.
Oh, God.
Probably. I don't know.
It's not Life is Strange, guys. It's fine.
But it is.
But yeah, it is. Let's talk about one of the plot lines that's a little bigger, because we've talked about the 2 smallest ones really right now. I want to get into Vic more, because we all talked about how we like Vic a lot, and I really wanted to dig down into it. Allie, you've mentioned you like Vic a lot. What did you think about Vic's story in this episode?
Well, I love him because Cyborg. He used to be, like, one of my favorite heroes on the team, even though, you know, in this he's totally different, and I do appreciate that they're making him different. I especially like what they're doing with the relationship with him and his dad, even though it's really messy, and I still don't really trust his dad. But as much as I like Vic, the whole mother-father box thing still kind of flies over my head sometimes, and I'm just like, can we get to more information about them? Like how they work?
Yeah.
But I did like what they did, just because I like Vic.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the show does not want to dig into how mother and father boxes work, even though it seems like that would be interesting.
Which I get, but, like,
yeah.
They did mention, what's his name, Metron made mother and father boxes?
Yeah.
So is he gonna come back? Like, I kind of don't get
There's
what they're doing
no way
with
to
him.
tell, because he's just, like, the 1,000th character in this show. Like, who knows?
Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry, Dylan,
And
go ahead.
why didn't they just keep the chair, so then they can maybe help Violet with her,
You
who
can
knows
just
what
take
disease.
a god's chair and then keep it. You got to give
Why
it back and
not?
hope
They
that
have
gods
a lot
like
of,
you.
like, gods on their team already.
Yeah, I have no idea what an old god means. So,
Me neither.
Dylan,
It means
or
they're
new
fucking
god? Are
old.
they new god or old god? I don't
I think
remember.
he's new god.
He's new.
Okay, so this Metron plotline. So first of all, the show had the wherewithal to bring Vic back in a major way, and that was fantastic considering his introduction episode was so good. And he's a really interesting character. The relationship with his dad. My main reaction is like, just be happy already. Like, but you know. But it was interesting, and I like seeing them resolve stuff and like seeing them being prominent and just focusing on Vic's great. And then just this whole like quest to go on this side adventure to go get Metron and take his chair, and we go to a place and it's like, oh, here's Superman, and it's like, oh, hey cuz, you know, and like then we're on like the gods' faces, and it's like, and this guy made the mother box and the father box and then the doom tubes, and then we get the mother. It's boom tubes. It's like it's so much.
But it works so well.
As someone who really is not familiar with this source material, any of this, It's basic that the thing is, I don't know. I feel like my experience with the show might be different than people who are more into DC lore. Like, to me, this plays as just this crazy sci-fi show, like where just crazy random stuff is happening. I mean,
it's not far from the truth.
I mean, I think even people that are into it, just because the show references like so much material and stuff, it's got to play like that to a certain extent. But there's nothing else like this that I watch. It's just so many random different sci-fi concepts. It's so fun. I loved this plotline with Metron. It was what they on a mountain god faces and they don't explain it. What is that? Yeah. I love it. Like, I love this show doing nonsense stuff. It's just really entertaining.
I love how at the start of this like description, I'm like, is Dylan actually going to say he didn't like this? Because it seems really up his alley. Because like you're explaining it, and you're like, no, I fucking loved it.
You think all signs might say it would be bad? No, I loved it.
It doesn't make sense. No, you're right. This should not work. This craziness of this episode should not work.
It can't do that many. It can't keep doing this. Like, but it does.
It can and it do.
It works so well because I love this plot line too. And I was watching and I was like, I recognized as it was going on, like, this is completely absurd and it shouldn't work. But at the same time, I'm like, I really, really fucking love this. Like, I love just them chasing after Metron with the boom tubes, and I love them just suddenly being in a fight. Like, whoa, where are we? And then like,
boom tube in the house.
Yeah, and then Connor's just like, will you be my best man? And Superman's just like, what's going on? And then they just leave. It's just that's it.
Superman there. That's so stupid.
But it works so well.
You know what's really stupid is that fucking Nolan North voices both of them.
Yes, is he really both of them?
Yes, it's so awful.
It's so great.
It's really bad, but it's amazing.
But as nonsense as it always, it feels big and relevant, kind of, just because he mentions Granny. Like, there's enough to tie it in, and then we learn, like, Granny's a new god, too, and it's like, and then Granny ties to the Apocalypton technology, and that feels relevant to previous things that have happened in the season, and then it's like, there's just enough there that it ties enough to the larger story.
I definitely missed that Granny is a new god.
There's like one line about that. I'm not sure if it was fake news or not, but someone says it.
I just love every time you say fake news, Dylan.
News.
I mean,
we title these podcasts "Fake News."
No, we're true talk about the show. Come on.
Yeah. So this plotline was good, and then we didn't even talk about the end of it when they finally get Metron. We get to Vic, and we have this scene where they like get him out of the chair, and I really like this kind of quiet action scene where we have a clear goal that isn't just beat the enemy. Like, it's like just keep him out of the chair so we can fix Vic. Like, it felt like we had a fight with a clear motive, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. Like, there's a fight in the quiet episode, but it is a quiet and single-minded fight, and I think it works. And I don't know, I just kind of like the logic. I like Metron not being vindictive against them after too. Like, I like him being like amoral and terrible, and then like I like him not being vindictive. Like, he felt like higher, like with his reaction to. I don't know.
Yeah, we have one of these characters, like, usually they get very mad about it, but it's clear at the end of the episode that he just wanted something to happen, but he's not going to go out of his way to punish it not happening in the end. Like, it was
interesting the way his reaction, and it's like I'm sure we probably won't see much of this character again, but there's enough there that I liked everything we saw from him.
This pretty much matches how he's in the comics. Like, this character is very neutral in the comics. He's just about knowledge. For you, Dylan, he's a very blue character. He just wants to find more information.
Yeah, there's a very blue reaction to Magic the Gathering blue. Yeah.
Yeah. I just find this to be a very interesting way to show him in the show. I really liked it. I don't know if there's anything more here to say other than I think we finally got Black Lightning back, which we've been talking about. Like, he just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, it's like, where did Black Lightning go? He was great.
Yeah, and I was very surprised by him and he showed up in the next episode too, and he was just good again, and I don't know, like, it was very...
The unknown factors, they're like, oh, here's Nightwing. Like, Nightwing's been character on the show. He's been gone for 15 episodes. Dude, you can't just bring him back and expect me to, like... No, but the show doesn't care. They just...
you can, because it's Nightwing. He's been
Nightwing is at least iconic, but, like, the show does not care about throwing people in and out of the mix.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Just wants as much in there as possible.
Honestly, I appreciate that, even though it confuses the hell out of me. I think that's like the ADD talking.
Yeah, I think it's true for me too, Allie. Like, I'm just like, oh man, just give me more and more and more and more.
But also stop.
Yeah,
please.
because the thing is, as we say that, Allie, there's still one more plot line in this episode we have not dug into, which is the Violet
No.
plot line.
But before we talk about that, I just want to mention that the father box soul goes back to the source.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that even mean?
Who the fuck knows?
I'm so confused, man.
Does it matter? Like, it doesn't.
No,
I don't think
can't
it matters.
tell. I feel like after the unknown factors thing, it has to matter because of the whole Gabrielle's powers thing.
Oh, yeah.
I really am so confused, but that's just all I wanted to say.
But I don't think, I'm confused by what could happen. I don't think I'm confused by what could, like, it makes sense, like, oh, if a father box or mother box dies, this thing goes back to the chair. Like, that's a clear line that they're giving.
But they can still use those powers from the father box? I don't know.
Like,
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Me neither, honestly.
Dylan, remember when they cure Vic of the father box?
Yeah. The show didn't really explain.
Yeah, it didn't explain it, but what the show is saying is that the father box is no longer alive inside Vic. But the tech is still there.
Sure. Yeah.
The tech still is, which is what I don't really get. So if the chair is destroyed, does everyone die? Whatever.
I don't know. It feels like it's kind of like the inverse of Violet's situation, but even more. Like earlier in the season, we showed like Vic and Violet like differences because they're mother box and father box, but now we're even taking that further because Violet is the soul of a mother box inside a human body, and Vic is a human with the technology of a father box. So they're like complete like opposites of each other, which I think is really interesting.
Sense. Yeah, I do appreciate that. I just keep forgetting how they actually work.
Yeah,
probably have to go back.
I don't know how it works technically, Allie. I'm just like giving my best understanding of what we. Well, no,
it makes a lot more sense when you put it that way. I just keep forgetting how Violet works.
Violet's.
She's interesting.
She is interesting. And speaking of, yeah, I really want to talk about Violet because I really like this plot line in this episode with Violet going back to see Gabriella's family. Like this was not what I was expecting at all for the show to do. I didn't think the show could do this, and I really, really liked this. Dylan, you mentioned this plot line earlier. Did you enjoy this little plot line?
Yeah, this isn't what I was expecting from Violet's arc, I guess. I think it makes sense, and I like that, like, she does this and gets the closure that they need, but also, like, I feel like that she needs, and then she goes back to the team after that. I feel like this is, like, best case scenario for the Violet runs away, thing we're speculating about. Like, this is, like, a, quiet, composed character moment with, like, interesting, psychology on all sides here, and, I think it plays well in the context of this episode for sure.
Yeah. It's not like big bombastic or it's not like crazy surprising, but it's quiet and it works and it actually gives us insight into Violet's character. Like it gives us understanding of what she wants from all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like this. I don't know. I like the moment when they touch foreheads and like Violet's just crying and it doesn't feel like things are good, but it feels like there's an understanding there, and I really just, it really felt as bittersweet as it was supposed to be to the family.
Mm-hmm.
Allie, did you enjoy this little scene, this whole plot line?
Yeah, I like that there was some form of closure, even though it's not really closure for her character, at least, but it like kind of half is. I also really didn't think they would go there. I thought they were just gonna have her like act out irrationally again, so I'm really happy they went in this direction.
Yeah, I was honestly really expecting them to just have Violet, like, try to run away to, like, somewhere where, like, no one could reach her, but her going to her Gabriella's family just, it feels obvious now that they've done it, that she would go. It feels really obvious. It's just, I don't know. I didn't.
Meanwhile, we were here like Violet goes to space next episode.
Yeah, well, no, I think I said that. I said she would go to space, and like that.
Well, no, but I also was like on that train. Like, sure, who knows what the hell?
Who doesn't go to space in this show?
I know exactly. She has boob tubes. She can go wherever.
You can just magically go to space in 2 seconds. It's fine.
And now Vic can too. Like we have like.
Vic can make boom tubes. That's good.
Multiple characters in the show can just teleport to space, Dylan.
Finally.
Yeah, that's what the show is. That's okay.
Yeah. The last thing in this episode is that Artemis and Tara find Violet and they take her home, and it's just like this kind of slideshow montage thing. Like we get
the snapshots thing, the studio mirror-ish snapshots ending. I love that it's like all the plot lines resolving basically.
Yeah, and it has its like music behind it. And it feels at first I was like, oh, we're just doing a slideshow, and then it just feels like we're looking at like pictures of memories, like these like last shots of happy people before we get to the bad stuff that's about to happen. Like
like the very end.
So and there's this like crescendo, and the music kind of takes this dark turn as it comes to Violet, and then Tara, and then the music feels like it's gonna go dark, like go down, and then it just has this upswing right as she smiles and she tells Deathstroke that nothing's going on. Like the music and the scene and everything kind of builds to you seeing that Tara is gonna be the thing that tears this all down, and she isn't. And I think that's a great, like, subversion with the music behind it, too.
Yeah, I think that's great commentary on how the music is used. I think, like, if this is the subversion part, like, we're expecting, like, they can't just have Tara being, like, the traitor again. Like, that's such a tired plot line. If this is, like, the moment of subversion, I think it was great. I think this is probably one of a few we'll get.
Yeah.
But it was really powerful seeing her just smiling, like, and she's like,
happy.
nothing to report. And I'm like, wow, this is way too happy for this show, but I'm obviously on board if we are not making her evil.
Yeah, like, this just felt very cathartic. Like, after this whole season, like, flesh monsters and stuff, like...
That's true. It's been so dark. Like, I'm glad we had this moment.
Like, this felt... And it even kind of continues, at least with the outsiders, like, they're happy a lot of the time. Like, we have, like, time for comedic moments next episode, even with the bad stuff that's happening to Black Lightning and Nightwing. We still have these, like, moments for Beast Boy and Vic to be, like, playing around in the gym. And it feels like there's a more lighthearted take to this show now, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, at least from that episode. But
yeah, I hope it continues because I like it.
Yeah.
Is there anything else from this episode you guys want to mention, Allie?
The credits.
Oh, I missed that.
People were like sneaking around in the credits. I think it was Black Lightning and Dr. Jace.
I thought they were going to the fridge.
Well, the problem, Dylan, is that multiple people have the same voice actor, and like it was hard. I think you're right.
My interpretation is like Black Lightning's back in the mix, so he and Dr. Jace like sneak around the Outsiders headquarters and like make out like while not waking the kids.
Yeah, that's what I was gathering too, but it took me a little bit of time because I'm like, wait, who's talking?
I like that. I like when the show does stuff with the credits.
It's really nice. And they did something with kind of with the credits of the second episode too. But we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Last thing I'll say is that I like the line from this episode, no more boom tubes in the house. Like people, like, it's just such a weird line in the show. Like, stop teleporting to space in the house, please. Like, just stop.
Please
don't. Get the dog off the table.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we didn't. So if you want to use this to transition to the next episode, so we actually have the kiss in Quiet Conversations. The kiss with Calder.
Yeah. It's like one of the last things.
Yeah. So,
yeah, we talked about all the sex, but we don't really talk about the kiss.
I think it's good that we're talking about the Calder with the Calder stuff with the next episode, because at first it's like, oh, here's another instance of the show having it's a second gay kiss. It's also just like random now with the character we care about. This is very like, I feel like very reminiscent of a Voltron ending type thing.
It felt very tacked on at first, but
yeah, and I mean it was wonderful seeing it, and it's a much better thing than the Violet thing that we got. Because it was like a very healthy, happy type thing. But then they really expand upon this relationship in Unknown Factors, so I was pretty blown away by that.
And he's an actual character! I'm so happy.
Allie, you seem so excited. What do you want to say about this?
I'm really excited, because I was on board with the Shape of Water, not Shape of Water, heterosexual sex, and then we got gay, non-Shape of Water, homosexual sex, and I'm just very over the moon at the fact that A, he's a character, and B, they did not kill him off in his first episode, because honestly, when I saw that he was like, hey, I'll come with you, like, I have the same military training, I could probably whoop your ass, I was kind of like, he seems like he's gonna die, and honestly, I'm still kind of afraid of that. I want to have faith that they won't kill him at least too soon, but he seems really cool, and the, fact that they might have, a new potential, sorcerer on the team is appealing.
That was I think a good subversion that they didn't kill him. That's agree, stupid to say, but they kind of set it up.
No, it's not, because they do it all the fucking time.
They do it all the time. I mean, it shouldn't be a stupid thing, but it is like that. That was the expectation there, but he's fine.
That's just how it is. But I'm very happy.
Yeah,
for now.
I really enjoyed this whole relationship. They were really cute together. There are moments of just talking, even just them talking. There's really. The writing seems stepped up here. They really feels like they have something between them. And I don't know, just there are little moments between them as they're going that really shows that they have little in-jokes and stuff when they're just trying to sneak into Granny's house. I really like this. I really like they expanded on their relationship from the previous episode, the first episode that we're covering this week. And, I don't know, I just really like this. I'm really, really happy with this. I just wish we had gotten this before the stuff we talked about.
I mean, fuck.
Like,
Also, seeing Calder being a soft boy is very cathartic.
yes. Like, this retroactively kind of makes me happier about some of the stuff that happened earlier in this season, because we have this now.
Yeah.
We have this very good gay relationship that's nice and happy and is unequivocally good. And there's no negative connotations here from these two.
Yeah.
Which
Well, except for that
some relationships are.
One line that I don't know if we're going to talk about it, but
The
Well,
suck and blow.
I'm not used to sucking and blowing like
Yeah.
this. Was it okay to laugh at that? Because I kind of face-palmed, but I was
I
chuckling.
think
You
it was
think they're
on
making a
purpose.
gay joke there?
No, I think they were, Dylan. I noticed it too.
Dylan, are you fucking with me right now? Please don't.
Let's analyze it. No.
No, we can move on. We can move on.
No. Okay, I've got a commentary on this. So, first of all, yeah, if they did this before the Violet Harper kiss, then it would have been much better, because, like we said, it's just bad that was their first queer rep. It's not an invalid thing to show in general. It's just bad that was the first. That being said, now that we got this and the show is like shown that it's capable of having multiple queer relationships portrayed on the show, I think it helps the Violet kiss a lot. I think like that's much worse in a vacuum, and in the context of a show that at least shows multiple ones, it's honestly kind of fine. I mean, it's like still not great, but it's like much less offensive, in my opinion. Yeah. The downside, like this is other than that one line, which I'll watch it back.
Oh, I don't think it's bad, Dylan. I think it's just a joke. It's fine. Like,
I just don't know if it was done in good taste.
Could be a tasteless joke. Yeah, you know.
I don't think it was. I think it was fine.
Yeah, but okay.
Honestly,
But in terms of like there's so much to like about them. The only downside would be that Calder's not a main character this season. Yeah. So this isn't as impactful if like Beast Boy was with a guy, right? Like that. I think in the context of all 3 seasons of Young Justice, this is going to be this is like an amazing thing.
Yeah.
But it's just a stark contrast. Like Calder is one of the absolute main characters of the show before, but this season he's really not been. So it does a little bit play like a side character. It's so much easier to have just a gay side character than a gay main character. It's much more impactful. It's a main character. But we're people that have seen the whole show and the whole show is stuck with us. So I think that like it is very impactful, especially Calder is like absolute fan favorite and, just a really developed and character who's gone through a lot. Also, I don't know if you're someone that's listened to our, She-Ra coverage. We had the She-Ra podcast in the last season in She-Ra. Like, I complained a lot about how that show, like, does not add any explicit romance. And like, this is like a very minor side thing. And it does like what that show is like absolutely not. There's a gay kiss. It is clearly gay in a relationship. And I'm not doing this to knock She-Ra, but it's like, this is like a very rare thing on TV. Yeah. Like and it's like this minor side plot, but like its inclusion is very impactful. I think considering you don't see stuff like this, it's absolutely one of the biggest queer up moments of the year in animation.
Yeah.
And you said everything I was going to say. Like, I really enjoyed this. I love their relationship and it's great. I don't know if there's anything really more to say about their relationship because we still have to get through this episode, but we can make note of it as we're going, the things that they're doing, because I think it's great.
In a show that has been good, but tainted because it's been morally questionable at times. I don't think the show's done anything, in my opinion, others may disagree. I don't think the show's done anything that's morally bad, but it's done things with Violet which have been maybe off base. And in a show where it taints your viewing a little bit. It's like the show's like really good and it's fun, but like, it's not the greatest thing socially. This is like a beacon of light that, really assuages a lot of those concerns. It doesn't like right the wrongs directly of any of those things, but it's just like the context in which you view a show. If I can view a show and be like, this is like a good show for the world and I really love it, that's like so much better to watch than a show that's like, oh, this is just like a good show, but it has no impact on anything. So like this is like probably the most needed plot line in all of Young Justice Outsiders.
I agree. And I think I would take this Young Justice like 7 days out of the week over that episode with like 5 different straight couples in it, where they're all like nagging the one guy.
It was so like apparent. We talked about it so much. Like, how is everyone straight? And it's like the show's like, oh hey, I forgot, but gay people exist. Here's some gay people. That's what.
That's what it feels like. But the thing is, in their defense, this felt like they got really a full episode to themselves, and not all the straight relationships do. To be fair,
it's really hard to knock it after the Calder. I don't even know his boyfriend's name, Wind.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be water, not winds? Like this is different.
I'm not even going to spell it for you. Just go.
It's like
You were almost there, then you just stuttered. What were you gonna say about them, Dylan?
It's really hard to knock it after the episode in Unknown Factors. There's a lot there, and it's really good.
Yeah, it's really great. The only complaint I have is I just wanted it sooner, and
Windy?
I don't think. Go ahead.
Sorry. I think his name is like Windy or something.
It'd be Splashy. It's a better fish name.
All right,
Splash,
I'm gonna move.
sure.
Since Dylan's talking like this, that means we need to move on to the next thing because it means that Dylan is getting bored. So this episode pretty much centers around this idea of we're trying to sneak into Granny Goodness's house, and we're trying to
Finally.
and we're trying to like actually
Granny.
yes, we're trying to push things forward. And I think there's only like a B plot in this episode. Like finally, just like
Just two
a B
plots.
plot. Oh no, there's kind of a C plot. There's kind of a C plot. I take that back. So there's the B plot is that we're with Mal and Karen, who's Bumblebee, who's having a baby, and we're having Gattaca stuff happening. Like we're dealing with genomes and stuff. And then we have a C plot of just the outsider base with some little antics going on, along with Violet Brion stuff. And it's a much more, I think, both, it's less craziness than the previous episode, but it feels much more impactful. There's a lot more plot going on. We're actually progressing the story. We have a lot of stuff with Oracle. Two of the team get captured, and it's really tense. And we also have these two characters we really like in this relationship we just talked about that are also possibly going to be in trouble. And so I think this whole episode just works great from, like, the character and emotion stuff plays very well into the plot stuff, which is when Young Justice is at its best. And this is kind of when I think this episode is when Young Justice is at its best.
Yeah, that was great. That was great commentary. This A plot's so good.
Yeah.
Between this and the A plot of the previous episode, this is some of the best stuff this season.
It really is. Allie, you haven't said as much, like, we've been kind of talking over you. Is there anything you want to say about this, like, general episode, the A plot?
Well, no, I mean, hard to agree that it's definitely some of the best that we've seen. I've been waiting to get to, like, more of Granny for so long because she's been here and we just haven't seen her except on camera or, like, fucking with Garfield. So it was not, like, messing with him.
Yeah,
Messing with him or with him?
Listen,
Okay.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I also, I hate you. It was satisfying to see, what was it? Kind of Violet and Brion reconcile too, because I mean, the way they split off, it was very frustrating and hetero, and I was just glad that he finally was like, sorry, and that's all they needed to kind of just start talking.
But also,
and then the doctor is being shady again.
Yeah. But before we get to Jace, I just want to talk on that. I think Brion stuff, I actually disagree. I think it's actually kind of another subversion for the relationship. Brion is again being really likable here, because he's like, I reacted bad in the moment, but I want to apologize. And it's not, he's not talking to her from a place of, I'm still mad. He's not talking to her because he's a teenager and awkward and doesn't know how to really apologize, but he also doesn't want to bring this up because it was a bad moment for him. And I think that's a real thing to do. And I don't know, I really don't like how straight it is, but also, like, they're so good. Like, Brion just is so good. He continues to step up in my mind about how, like, nice he is, and I really enjoy it.
I really like him.
Brion's such a sweetheart. You can jump on my Brion fan club.
Bitch, I'm the head of the conductor.
No, I'm the head of the train. Excuse me. He's my gorgeous prince, okay? Like,
you okay, Dylan.
You chew.
My sideburns, okay? Like, it's
you can't just
wow.
You can't claim every character with sideburns, Dylan.
It hurts.
That's true. I do. I guess I have a thing for sideburns with Zhao, and the simple size of two. But
That's a good point.
Brion, he's the best. I actually think this is like considering what we did with Violet when she ran away last episode, and then the reconciliation in this episode. I think it's ultimately a good plot line, like her leaving, and then like I think they just did it really well. I don't know. Like we were like, I feel like we were like just more worried about what it would be, not like commenting that it was bad. I think overall, like everything was really fine and good. Yeah,
I agree. I think we were worried about which ways they could have gone, and they went just across the board the best direction with all of it. Like, I think we were even talking about...
It was quick, it was, did interesting things with the characters, and now they're back. I mean, I don't know if they're, like, in a relationship, right? Like, we'll maybe explore that, but they had their reconciliation moment, and it was great. And
it wasn't the thing we were predicting where, like, it was that he got mad and they came back together, but it wasn't the, like... He wasn't mad for, like, the long time we thought he would be and finally apologized. It was that he was surprised by the revelation, which is fair. Like, it's fair.
Yeah.
And he has a human reaction of guilt for that, and I really enjoy it. Like, this is so good, and I want like the whole show to be like this. These kinds of interactions. Character interactions. That's the words I was looking for. I don't know if you heard that. My cat knocked off some stuff from my desk.
That was definitely a D20, but okay.
It was actually some change.
Roll to speak.
It would have been more on brand if it was, yeah.
It would be much more on brand for the D20. Anyways. Sorry, I lost my train of thought because of that. Yeah, so we were talking about, I think that's like the Violet stuff. We kind of jumped from the A plot to that, but I just really enjoyed that plot personally.
Could we talk about Dr. Jace though, because it kind of
yes,
like,
that's what we're going to lead to. Thank you. We're going to talk about that.
So let me recap. Let me give you the summary of the Dr. Jace
yes,
stuff.
please,
so,
Dylan.
We see this big scene. Dr. Jace is texting, and we see who she's texting. She's texting this big happy gorilla who's very nice, and it's her big science friend gorilla, and they're just talking about what they had for breakfast, and there's nothing bad going on here.
Wow.
Okay, Dylan. I know you love when I give you the backstory for these side characters.
Why is there this random gorilla? I think he's been on the show before, but like Ultra Human Knight, he's the light member. There you go.
Dylan, you're not ready yet. Okay, do you want to hear the origin story of Ultra?
I had to look up whether he was evil. The fact that I'm pretty sure that scene was saying he's evil, but I had to look up whether this dumb big gorilla was evil.
Wow.
But Dylan, did you look up his origin? Did you look it up?
Tell me, hasn't he been on the show? Like,
yes, he has.
Okay.
But you need to know this, Dylan, because
is he Jojo?
He might as well be. Ultra Humanite Dylan is obviously he's a gorilla with the implanted brain of a 92-year-old woman, human woman.
What? Is this put on the show?
No, it's not put on the show, but that's what he is. And he uses he pronouns, just so you know. But he definitely has the brain of this woman.
Why?
I don't know, Dylan!
Mojo Jojo, though.
Why is Mojo Jojo evil?
I don't know.
Why is Mojo Jojo important enough to be a light member?
Okay, I want to move away from the monkey, because even before we saw her texting him, like, we've seen her on the phone with, I guess it was him before, and the way she's talking to Brion and Violet about their individual things, like Violet dying or whatever, I still don't know if I fucking believe her. And now she's telling Brion, like, oh, you should reach out to your people in Russia. Like, blowing his cover and, like, potentially putting him and the team in danger. It's such a bad idea, and I don't like her, and I'm scared.
Right, so you could read this like Allie is, and, like, this is her contact, her colleague she'd been texting the whole time. Yeah. And the fact that she's texting an evil person, it's like, this isn't actually a science person she's been consulting with. Maybe everything she said has been a lie in order to manipulate Brion and Violet. I don't know. Maybe I'm a fucking moron, but I still don't buy her being completely evil.
You think
like,
she's being tricked?
I don't know if she's completely evil, but I do not trust her.
I don't know if she's like, I just don't know if I buy the concept that like this idea that Violet is dying and she's been trying to save Violet the whole time is like made up. Like,
yeah,
like she had to have been texting the girl about how to save Violet. She said so many genuine moments on the show. I don't know. I guess this is good storytelling, like the fact that they have this reveal and I'm still not like all in on her being evil. And also, like I said last time, the reason I wouldn't like this, the reason I didn't think this would happen is because we already did a bait and switch with Dr. Jace being evil very early on in the show. And I do think it would be a little bit repetitive if it was the exact same thing. So I do think there's some nuance probably that we're going to have with Dr. Jace.
Yeah, that's a good call. And after like what we've been doing these last few episodes, like I am really on board with what you're saying. I think Dr. Jace there's going to be nuance here. Like she's going to be, I don't think she's going to be completely, like, good, but I think she's going to have good motivations for what she's doing.
It's just hard for me to see the such genuine way she's talked to Violet and Brion, that being, like, just sadistic lying. Like, that's, like, so hard for me to process.
I think she genuinely cares for both these kids, but I think there's something she has to do for, obviously, the light to get Violet cured, and she's willing to go to those lengths to save her.
Yeah, maybe she's being slightly tricked. Maybe she's like thinks this is the right move to talk to the light. Yeah. And she's hiding it from them for their protection.
That's the train I'm on, but there's a bunch of different ways they could go with this.
I don't trust
Maybe
anything.
she's trying to save them, but she's selling them out to the light, and then they betray her, and then they're mad at her. She's like, I didn't want this to happen, and then I guess she like dies. She has to die if that happens, right?
It would be it's very interesting to have Dr. Jace here while Tara is like the obvious mole. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe that's a subversion. Jace is the real mole and Tara's not.
Yeah, and that's
and we've never really even
Jace
seen them talking, right? Like they haven't interacted a lot.
No, and I think that's on
really
purpose. I think Jace might. I think Jace will fill the role of what we're expecting Tara to fill, where she sacrifices herself in a heroic fashion.
It really seems like Jace is dying.
Yeah, it feels like she is, and that would be impactful to Black Lightning as well, because he's been he for some reason was a focus of the very beginning of this season, and it would come back full circle if he.
And he's came back in these last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Too.
I'm on board for this. That this is going to be some kind of death here. Not some kind of death, but some kind of thing is going to happen to Dr. Jace, and it's not going to be completely good.
I just feel hurt by Dr. Jace, not just because I was wrong, but because I like her, and don't text the evil monkey. Come on.
Yeah. I would prefer if she didn't do that either.
We call him Mojo Jojo.
He's Mojo, yeah. That's his name.
We'll keep track of Mojo in the future weeks, Dylan. Don't worry.
Okay, we'll track Mojo.
We'll keep track of it. But until then, we need to talk about maybe the most absurd side plot in any episode of Young Justice. This one actually almost made me mad. And I'm, of course, talking about the Gattaca side plot.
Oh my god, thank you for bringing that movie up. I was gonna fucking make a point about that.
Genetic engineering, okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh my god. So
it's gonna be a problem, but
this was especially confusing to me because I didn't remember Bumblebee was a character, so I had no idea what's going on here.
I figured out because before the episode someone mentioned Bumblebee was in it, and I was like, oh, this is Bumblebee. And I don't know if I would have been able to do that without having known that ahead of time.
I guess she's been on the show like in season 2 or something, but clearly not recently, right? Like
no, she was at like the baby shower like last.
That stupid baby shower.
Oh yeah, you got a baby in you.
Yeah. There was a baby shower thing.
The reason this maybe works is just because it ties to the overall concept of meta genes, and like, they're doing this for some reason. If like, I don't know, maybe we're moving to a point where like we're past the crisis and it's like metagene is like a thing now in their society, and how are people going to deal with it like this?
This is the thing. I can't tell if they're trying to make it another political plot, but I feel like that's where it's headed.
I'm just unclear on. It feels like they could have done it without adding another plot, but again, I realized as I was saying that, as I was thinking this thought, that this is Young Justice and they can't do that. They can't just do more things with what they already have. They have to add like a whole other thing for some reason.
Are
you at a loss for words now?
Look, in a show of unrelated side plots, this is like, just completely has nothing to do with anything that's happening. So, that's fine.
It really does.
It's a fun thing. I like her going inside. Yeah. Her mother goes inside her child, and she repairs her heart, and then stares at her DNA, which I feel like does not scale like at the way, but the DNA is much smaller, right, than the heart. But
she shrank down.
She shrank even more. And then, we were like kind of unclear on what she did to the DNA, but we're left with the impression she probably like activated the baby's metagene for the brighter future of the child. After lovingly discussing it with her husband, she made the family planning decision to shrink down and enter the organs of her newborn baby in order to make it a superhero. So that's what the show is.
Yeah, and that's just what the show is. And I don't know, I think the frustration for me is that we had all these plots that were about people I cared about, and then there was just this one.
Yeah.
And it really stands out from that.
It would be very helpful if I knew who either of these people were.
There are people, I know, like, generally who they are, Mal and Karen, but I don't know, like, I don't remember enough about their character arcs to really, like, care about them in a way that I care about Calder in this episode, because Calder we stayed with for so long.
Yeah, Calder at least has precedent, a lot more precedent in the show, and is given multi-episode focus.
If it helps you, Dylan, Malcolm is like the Guardian guy, like he wears that gold helmet. And
he's okay. I know what that is. Okay,
wait, he is?
Yes.
I had no impression of that from
I thought that was Zatanna's dad.
No, that's Dr. Fate.
It's a different person that wears a helmet, right?
Or Fate, or whatever. Yes, it's a different guy who wears helmet.
So stupid.
It doesn't matter. Ali, we can. Yeah.
My defense of this plot in the episode, despite I didn't know who these people were, the episode put in the legwork to put the emotional founding between the couple. We had the conversation between them in the car, conversation when they're having the baby and stuff. That the show, like, it's like a very questionable decision to have this plotline in this episode, but the show like really tries to make you care about it, and I did buy in.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Like, it does work for what it is. I just think that I would care. I would have liked we're doing so well with these storylines with the outsiders that I just want more of that. I just want more of them. Like, I would have cared more if like this C plot was just more Beast Boy and Cyborg hijinks. Like, we got one scene with them. I would have liked just more of that this episode.
Yeah, could have just done that. Yeah.
Same though.
What was that, Allie? I'm sorry.
Same. I mean, this was fine.
Yeah.
I just like what you said about the fact that we have so many of these plots, and now we just have this thrown in at kind of the end of the season.
Yeah.
Feels weird, but I feel like it has to mean something.
Yeah, like, it feels like this has to be... We're gonna circle back to it, I agree, but we'll have to just...
But it's gonna take forever because the baby was just born, so she has to grow up.
Well, no, we're gonna have another time skip for season 4, because we can't do a new season without time skipping for some reason. For some reason, we can't just continue the story. We have to skip ahead 5, 6, 7 years every single time.
So everyone's gonna be having
We're gonna time skip between 3 and 4 because Wally's coming back at the end of the season, and then we're gonna get later them back together.
Okay, we're still not done with this episode. We can't have your crazy theories right now, Dylan.
Crazy theories. Everyone thinks Wally's coming back, right? Like, this is happening in the last 5 episodes.
Somehow.
He
has
coming
to.
back. So we really have not talked about... We talked about Granny Goodness a little bit. Let's just
more about this. More about Granny.
Yeah, let's wrap up with Granny Goodness. Like, let's just finish talking about this.
So she has a little tiny cube that she has a demon god called the Overlord inside.
Yes.
And the Overlord takes them down past her house into a realm of no floors, and they're in like this elevator, but if you go outside the elevator, you get sucked into this mist, which like puts you in agony, except Calder activated the like magic mark on him, which apparently let him get through this magic mist and back onto the elevator.
Yeah, his boyfriend told him
Dylan,
to.
how much did you love this?
I loved it so much. I like this new idea of just explaining this show in just like a completely like
No, Dylan, it makes it so much more cathartic when you talk about the episodes when you just explain what happens.
So stupid.
But it shouldn't work, and it does.
It's so I love Granny. Like the big thing is tying this to the Apocalyptic tech that really worked well for me. Like like we've gotten a lot of that this season, and Granny being like this more powerful being. I have no idea what the Overlord is, but it's just like trapping them there, and then she controls them, but then Violet comes in, and this moment of the outsiders coming in to this Granny plotline with Nightwing, Black Lightning, Calder's boyfriend, and then the outsiders boom tube in, and then Violet heals them, and then like this is like the season coalescing in this moment right here, because normally nothing converges in the show. There's just separate plot lines. But here we have kind of a typical plot line where there's kind of just nonsense happening with characters that aren't really our main characters. But then our main characters come in and interact with this plot line. And it's like relevant to the larger show because Granny's probably our big bad of the season. And it's like the show is coalescing and feeling really cathartic in a way that it had not in the rest of the season.
Yeah. And when we finally have the heroes show themselves to Granny reacts to it in a way that feels like it's important too, which is very cathartic as well. Like, we finally have this moment where, like you said, it coalesces and the villain acknowledges it, which makes it feel cool, I think. Like, it feels like, it's not because they're together, it's because she notices Violet, but it feels cool that she feels like this moment's important as well. Like, the whole episode makes it feel important that this is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love Violet healing them. That was like, wow, we're actually using Violet for not her getting killed.
Yeah, she finally didn't fucking die.
We don't talk about Violet dying.
She makes other people not die. That's great.
Oh,
wow.
And
also like Oracle's here, and that was a character I forgot existed until recently. So,
Oracle, the girl in the wheelchair.
Wheelchair girlfriend.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, Barbara?
Yes, it's Barbara.
Oh, duh, okay.
I didn't know that she was that makes sense. And then the stuff with the mother box too. She's like trying to kill the mother, but that was also we've done a lot with mother boxes, and that's a big part of the season. I like how the show presents like the mother box, father box as living beings, and I like how they care enough to like they're treating it like a living being that feels really impactful too.
Yeah, they're treating it like it's actually a prisoner and not just like a computer they're leaving behind
Yeah.
for this woman. Like, they're like, this is someone we have to save too.
AI have feelings.
Yeah, like I think because of Violet and because of Vic this season, it feels like we understand that is what it is. Like, this is a person to save. And I also like, though, that there's this carry through from the previous episode, because the episode starts with Black Lightning saying, you still have that mother box from the last episode. And it's like,
it really feels like a great pair of episodes. It ties together, and thematically it's different in a great way, and
Yeah, I don't know, like, this was completely by luck, but these episodes just really pair together really, really well.
I mean, I hope the rest of the season also ties together, but yeah, it was a good two to discuss together.
Yeah, I think these almost could be like, these almost could just be on the same night. Like, these feel more like a mid-season finale than the mid-season finale we got, almost.
That is true. One that makes me think of the mid-season premiere, which feels related to this episode, because that was when we saw Granny in like a large space context, and this is kind of the continuation of that.
It really is. I wonder how coherent this season would be if you just watched the episodes with Granny Goodness. Like, I'm curious. Like, if that's just the only episodes that really matter in the end of the day.
I mean, probably, honestly.
But I think it's just a really good decision to kind of like focus in on her as like our main villainous force. There's so many random villains who we don't care that much about. But Granny is just like she's been a pretty solid through line throughout the season, and also is just like a very appealing villain. It's it's just like this Granny, like this grandma who's like evil, and also she's like an alien god and like all powerful now that's been revealed, while also like manipulating things on a social level on Earth. It's like totally the show's type of villain, and like in a great way.
Yeah, and I really enjoy that, like, we have all these really mysterious things, because like what you mentioned in the previous episode, someone's like, is this Granny your Granny? And Metron's like, no, but also yes, and he just leaves with a smirk. Like, the show is purposely trying to confuse us, but I like it. I like that it's doing it. I really enjoy it. Like, yes, this is what I want from Young Justice. Like, this is the confusing stuff I want. I don't want like, I want this confusing stuff from like, what is this villain doing? Not, what the fuck is going on all the time?
Yeah. It's happening.
It's a good use of this, and you can tell there's going to be more reveals with Granny to come. And then in the post-credit scene, which I'd like Sarah to explain to me. So, Granny tells Darkseid, or a hologram of Darkseid, that she found the anti-life equation.
Yes, the anti-life equation is what this whole season is built on, Dylan. It's essentially...
So it's the thing in the opening credits, right?
Yes, and it's also... If you line up all the titles of the episodes...
Oh, yeah, all the titles line up. That's where I heard it.
Anti-life equation. Yeah. And just... For simplicity, this will make some people mad, but just for the people who aren't like big comic geeks, this is essentially this universe's like Infinity Gauntlet type thing. Like, they can use this equation just to kill everything.
Okay.
Okay, so
does that help solve what I'm saying, Dylan? Understand what I'm saying?
Sure. Well, how did Granny find this?
That's unclear. We don't know.
Okay.
Like,
I'm not. It's Violet, isn't it?
She noticed it after Violet.
Oh, it's Violet. That's I like
it's related to Violet, it seems like, but that's all we know, because they can do it.
So the equation is the merger of the mother box and the human body, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah, it could be something like that.
Because also, what's his face, Metron was interested in how those interacted as well.
But also we have to remember that Vic was there as well, which is a father box with a human body. Like, it could be.
Well, maybe you combine Violet and Vic, and that's
It definitely feels like those two are being played out as like a foil to each other, and I would be very surprised if the season finale does not involve those two in some way.
Actually, yeah.
I thought they're two strong characters.
I really enjoy
also, like, this is as we said, it's the straightest show, so the mother and the father together are key, right?
It has to be that way, like 100%. Like, I'm more okay with it.
The baby world killer.
Yeah, I'm more okay with it just because these characters are just good on their own.
They're just the two of the best characters, yeah. They can't result in, you're not gonna like kill the two best characters of color the show will, but like you can't like I mean, it has with Violet repeatedly, but it's
Dylan.
So is Granny subservient to Darkseid, or is it a light type situation where she's working with him?
I am unclear. I think previous episodes have shown that her subservient, but I think this episode almost makes it a little more unclear.
We keep increasing Granny's scope. At first, it seems like she's just like human, then she's like God, but she's working for someone. She keeps seeming more and more important, and this episode plays her as she's reporting to Darkseid, but I wouldn't be surprised if she was in the Nexus of Power all along.
Yeah, and it's really, really, I'm really on board with this. Granny is like she's so good, and like even this episode when she's just standing in a cube with two heroes, she feels so imposing. Like,
she does, yeah.
Like, I'm so scared of what she could have done to Calder and Wind, which also is Like, it's also just that I really like those characters and I don't want something to go bad for them. But just her standing next to them in that cube is just so much more, like, tense than any of the actual fights we've had this season. Like, just them being so close to her. I'm so uneased when anyone's near her. Cause I don't know what she's gonna do.
Yeah.
I think before we wrap this up, I think for you two, especially Dylan, because you'll love this. Do you want me to read out the anti-life equation, Dylan? What it says?
Is this spoilers?
I don't know. I don't think it is. Based on what I'm reading, Dylan, based on what I'm reading, there is literally no way it could be spoilers. Are you ready?
Yeah, right?
What'd you say?
Oh, hold on. Yeah, how are we supposed to know what or is not spoilers with this show?
Yeah, no, but Dylan, I'm reading this. It's not going to be a spoiler. I'm reading it. Like, here, are you ready? Are you ready? It is loneliness plus alienation plus fear plus despair plus self-worth divided by mockery, divided by condemnation, divided by misunderstanding, times guilt, times shame, times failure, times judgment. N equals Y, where Y equals hope, and N equals folly, love equals lies, love equals death, self equals dark side. That is the equation, apparently,
yeah,
Dylan.
I'm not interested.
So depression, basically.
Yes, it's depression.
What the fuck is this? Not an equation. What is this? List of things.
Someone actually, anyone who's listening, if you're like a math whiz, please do that math and get back to us.
Yeah.
It's not like a chemical formula. That's what I was expecting.
How do you know?
Dylan, that's why I said it's not spoilers. The real answer is that it's just comic bullshit, Dylan. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
That doesn't seem like but the show's not going to do that exactly. It'll do.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not, because even like the Wikipedia page for this, like, it says like it's gone through a lot of different iterations. Like, it kind of changes for the story it's in, which I am A-okay with. Like, we're gonna get something and they're gonna do it with their own spin, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it's yeah. I guess this is a big moment because people figured out all the episode titles lined up to this, so this is going to be a thing people are highly anticipating here.
Yeah, and I think that they sufficiently led up to it. They had I think it's the only episode that has a post-credit scene this season, and it feels suitably important that this episode has a post-credit scene.
This episode feels like the gateway to the end game of the season. Yeah.
It feels like every episode after this one has to be important. Like, there's no way that we can't have important stuff happening after this.
I mean, in before, a episode chronicling the life of Bumblebee's daughter, and just a solo episode about we skip time throughout her life and how her with the metagene the pros and cons of how it affects a human being. Yeah,
it'll be about Condiment King too. We'll have a D plot about the Condiment King.
God, I forgot Condiment King.
I forgot about him too.
We're not talking about him. I think
I think a comic character.
I don't know, Dylan. I'm not talking about this. We're wrapping up because I'm wrapping up. Do you have anything else to say before we finish up, Dylan?
No, just good stuff this week. Continuing to look forward to more from Young Justice. Reading the plot, the names of the next titles. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I looked at the next title as well, but I won't say it on the podcast in case some people don't want to get spoiled. Just there's another episode next week, and hope it's as good as these ones. Allie, did you have anything you wanted to say before we ended the podcast?
No, same, just good shit.
Yeah.
Can't wait for more.
These episodes are really good. It's been great talking with you guys. You can find out all the info on this podcast at overlyanimated.com. You can join us on Discord to text chat about animation at overlyanimated.com/Discord. You can support us via Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to all our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Brendan, aka Kells. And thanks always to our patron executive producers, Ryan, Steve, Alex, Beatrice, Hugh, Michael, and Needle. That list is getting long. We have Infinity Train coverage happening right now. If you guys are any interested in that, that's an amazing little mini.
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, it's a fun little mini-series happening right now. I don't think there's anything else really big happening, Dylan. I don't think.
She-Ra stuff's gonna.
She-Ra, sorry, that's it.
Yeah.
12
you mentioned
Forever
earlier.
stuff also.
12 Forever Fruits Basket. There's other stuff. We're focused on Infinity Train now, which is the show Young Justice people like. So you
guys will like it if you like this show. It's really cool.
And we'll be back in 2 weeks, probably, right?
Yeah, I think 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks works. Yeah. If the episodes are like this seems perfect.
Yeah, we have 2 more one-off weeks and then the 3-part finale, so it seems right to do 2 more weeks and then 3 weeks from now from the finale.
So you can expect another podcast from us in 2 weeks. But until then, guys, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.